Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Bava Metzia daf Pei Gimel. We're going to begin on Pei Gimel Amud Aleph, about 5 lines from the top. So we said that the Shvua is illogical because based on the Shita of Isi ben Yehuda, the only time a Shvua is made is if there's no one that saw it happen. However, if you were carrying a barrel and it broke and there were people that were there to witness it, then l'chara shvua shouldn't part to you. So on this, Rabbi and Rabbi Yochanan, that the shvua zu, the shvua of our Mishnah is takanas chachamim. It's a takana of the chachamim to say that this person will be patur by making a shvua. She'imiyata oimer kain. Otherwise, in l'cha adam hamaver chavis l'chaverai b'makom b'makom. A person's not going to help his friend out and transfer an item from one place to the next because he's going to be concerned that he's going to end up being responsible, and therefore shvua will pater. Now, what exactly is the shvua? The shvua is that I did not break it with intention; it was not on purpose. And then Rabbi Yehuda, our Mishnah says that it depends. If the guy wasn't being paid yeshava, then he can make such a shvua. A noisy sachar, someone's being paid, that would not be sufficient. He would still have to pay. So, and haikadina, and each one is according to its din between a shemer chinam and a shemer sachar. To be chayiv would not be the case for a shemer chinam, only for a shemer sachar. Okay. V'yos Rabbi Lezer, he says in Gemara Rameir. I understand that the Mishnah is like the sheet of Rameir that holds niskol is la posheya, that the fact that he broke it, it's not his fault. I don't understand. How is it possible that both of them can be patur by making a shvua? Because bishlam shemachina mishtaba, as we said, shlo pashaba. He can make a shvua that he wasn't negligent, and that should be enough to make him patur. El shemer sachar my mishtaba. What is the whole purpose of the shemer sachar making the shvua? How could he be patur? Because kilo pashanami, even if he wasn't posheya boy shlume, he should still have to pay because he's a shemer sachar. We have much higher standards for someone who's being compensated. He would still have to pay. So how do we understand? How do we understand this? Even when it comes to someone who's not being paid. As we saw before, that's only if it's on a slant. You want to tell me it wasn't his fault? Maybe it's when he was carrying a barrel on like a downward slope. And therefore, it's much easier to slip. So maybe only there does he say that you're not considered posheya by slipping. How can you say you're not posheya if it's a flat road? Why would you have slipped? You shouldn't have slipped. You were posheya. But feel nami. As we said before, that's only a case where there's no witnesses. However, the pasuk says, "In royeh shvuas Hashem tiyeh ben shneiim." Only if there's no witnesses, a shvua will work. Hayesh royeh yabi raya pater. So again, this is the understanding of the sugya. Hahugav, this is a story of a person, the havi kamaver chavisa the chamra biristika, and he was carrying this barrel of wine, and it was in the, Rashi says, Rechava, in the town square, the Mechuza of this city. V'tavra beziz and Mechuza, and when he carried it, it caused the breaking of a beam. Says Rashi, Kaira hayotze and a kaisel, there was a beam that came from a wall, ubeletzas v'shus around it, and it was protruding into the public thoroughfare, and that's what caused the break. So also made a Rabbi Amalei, this area where there's tons of people, this is a place where there's a lot of people. So So if this barrel was broken by one of these beams, so you should be able to produce witnesses, which clearly means that you're not supposed to make a shvua, but instead you produce witnesses. Similarly, Rav Yosef Berei, what? Come on, Kisi. It sounds like you're holding like the sheet of Yismi Yehuda. I'm like, in Kisi, yeah, that's exactly right. Musfiro and Kavasa, that's exactly who we paskin like, and therefore it's only Shavuos Hashem ben Shneim is dafka when there's no one around, but there was certainly people around when this happened, so you need to produce those witnesses. Hahu Gavra, another story, a person, dear Malay Chavi, said to his friend, Zil Zavanli Arba Me'adani Chamra, that I want you to go in to sell 400 barrels of wine. This is going to end up being a question over here. So he said, I want you to sell 400 barrels of wine. And Azul Zavin lay, and he went and sold it. Saiv Azul Kamiwan Fanamalay, Zvinilach Arbamea Dani Chamra. So he said, go and sell 400 barrels of wine. Vitakifu Luhu. And the wine soured. Also, the Rabbi Malay, Arbamea Dani Chamra Takife. In the event where you have 400 barrels of wine that turn vinegary, Kal Isla. Lamilsa. That's something which that word would get out. Zil Isiraya to Mikara, you should go and bring proof from originally that Kimazapt Lahu Chamra, that when this wine was being sold, was Chamar Mali Yahavi Vifter. That it was actually good wine, and then you would be potter. Says Rashi. Zavinis loch, Kanisi locha, I will acquire it for you. And then it became vinegary. Kol islahu, Amos hechmitzu. When did it become vinegary? That will become known. The ezel mi hoyu and shel mi hoyu. So where was the wine when it turned vinegary? Shema shulcha hoyu o kanisa chaimitz bedamim pchusim v'lo etzlacha hechmitzu. Maybe it was vinegary by you, or maybe not. So therefore, you're required to bring witnesses to be able to prove exactly when this took place, because this is something which will be a call. Question TA9. Hahu gavni chavre zil zavin li, go and sell for me 400 dani chamri. I sold it to you. But it became vinegary. Why does he have to bring witnesses? Why isn't he not believable to Shua? As we said, it's going to be a coil. The Carmelon Kis Ben Yehuda. Diesh Roya Yavi Raivi Potter. So if you want to be able to bring a proof, you need to bring proof not with a Shua, but by producing witnesses. So Rav Yosef Rei, come on, Kiisi, Emily in Kiisi, the Sphira Kavase. Asking Rav Chia Bar Yosef Besichra. So Rav Chia Bar Yosef established, he was Masakin in Sichra, which is a place. Hani de Daru Ba'agra, regarding those people who carry loads of a yoke. Regarding someone, says Rashi, might kofuf be'emtsoi v'naisok seifo, he puts it on his shoulders. V'naisah shnei badin v'shnei b'raishav v'naisah b'imasa kaveh, it's very heavy. V'itbar, so he put something on him and it broke. So the shalom palga, so then he should pay half. What is this? Poyel, says Rashi, shekibel level hoyle chaviyos makamakim. The worker who was accepted upon himself to carry the barrel from one place to the next, he pays half. V'nosam ba'oisomoit v'nishim shalom palga. So my timer, why half? Nafish l'chad v'zurtu l'trei. Because what it was way too heavy for one person to carry it, but it wasn't so heavy for two people to carry it. It says Rashi, Kivan de inu roy l'shnei ma'asois, wasn't fit for two. Derech b'nei adam hischazek l'tainu ke'echad. Hilkach d'mei nami damu anamu oinus. So karbu oinus v'karbu pshia. It's considered close to oinus and also karb to pshia, so therefore you pay half. B'digwa mishalim kula. Rabba bar B'digwa, he made him pay all. Rabba bar Chanan Tavrule Hanhu Shikuloi Chavisa de Chamra. So his workers broke a barrel, and it was l'chayra with an element of negligence. The Dar says B'digwa, says Rashi, eitz v'kaysher bo masa shnei b'nei adam mamachnes savaro ben shnei pilotzav umutul al beis kseifa, was put on like two shoulders. Anyway, so shakal legli maihu. So they broke the barrel with negligence. So he took their cloak from them. So also Amru they said Larav Amrli Havahu Glimahu. He said to give the cloak. Amrle Dinahachi. Is this true that this should be the din that it's taken away? Amrle in Laman Teilch B'derech Toivim. So in order you should go on the proper path. Yavu Glimahu. So he gave him the cloak. Amrle Anianan V'tarchinan Kuli Yoima V'kafinan V'leislan Midi. So the problem is that we are poor and we need help. So Amrle Zil Hava Grahu, go and pay for their wages as well. Amrle Dinahachi, they broke the thing. Amrle in V'achos Sadikim Tishmor. The way of being a tzaddik, you should do, as Rashi says, Lefnei Mishos Adin. Even though they broke the thing, as Rashi says, Mishalom Kule, again, they took, it was too heavy for one person to carry, which was Pshia, Shihir B'masa Shnel B'nei Adam. So he says, Shekuloi, Naisim Asois, the Tavrule Shlo B'makom Midroin Ubshia. It was a mistake, Inami B'digwa. So again, they made a mistake in the way that it was done, in the Pshia. He said, don't worry about it. The din still is that you should compensate them. We continue now. The next pair, Kasaychas Poalim. You're hiring workers. So you say, I want you to work earlier than normal. Let's say it was like a 9 to 5 job. I want you to come in at 8 o'clock and I want you to leave at 6. So if this is actually not the custom of the neighborhood, that a person should be working 9 to 5, you cannot compel them to work extra hours, which seems obvious. If it's a place where you provide, let's say, lunch or some food, then you should. Wasapek b'matika isapek. If it's a place in which you provide some type of relish or dip, then you should do that. And hakol kamina kamadina. It's all according to the minhag of what the custom is of that community. Fine. So on this, Taisa says, Perish Ri, this is only Shachran Stama, that if it's only just, you don't mention anything, you don't specify. Even after you've already hired them, that Kfarl Hashkim Ariv, that they should get up, they should work extra hours. So Taisa says that if the condition is already laid out, then you're supposed to follow that condition, even though if it would be extra hours. If they agreed upon it, they agreed upon it. That's it. Okay. So let's continue now with the next part of the Mishnah. Masim Rav Yochanan ben Metzia. There's a story. Shmuel Livno, he said to his son, "Say schar one upon, go and hire workers." Halach, he went. And he set aside food. When he went to the father, even if you provide him this great meal, you still have not fulfilled your obligation. Why? Says Rashi, interesting enough, apparently Abraham's mule is even greater than Shlomo's. If, let's say, they didn't actually start working yet, save Emerlhem, you can go and tell them, that I'm only going to give you bread and beans, and that's it. Says Rashi, She'ein kan el devarim. What you said to them is just words. Devarim in behen mishum machsuri amon. It's not like you're backing down on the words. And as we've seen the sugi before, it's because the workers were probably saimech das on the father, not on the son, and therefore they didn't really rely on what he said, provided again was before they started working. We'll see the reason why there's a distinction there. You don't have to say hakol k'minhag medina. Again, all it is based on whatever the minhag medina is. All right. Again, we'll see that in a future daf. Obviously, you can't tell someone to work extra hours and not pay them for it. So it's sricha the tafluhu agraihu. Even the situation where they're getting paid extra, they're getting paid more than a typical person. So who the owner could say, ha de tafoiluhu agraihu adaita demikad misu umechashchisu bahadoi. The reason why I'm paying you extra is because you're working. I wanted you to work extra hours. Kamash Malon, what could the worker say? Sh'amrulei haida tafsalon. The fact that you paid us extra compensation, I wasn't because we should work extra hours. We should still work the regular 9 to 5, but we thought it was a daita de avdinan loch avidita shapirta, that we're going to work extra hard during those hours. So if you didn't specify what exactly we're doing over here, so then l'chaira, I should not have to pay. I should not have to work extra hours. And this is question TB10. So my kamashman mastisen, this is what I wrote. Nefil im nasen yoiser kesef, vihi v'havamina. You think ani noisen yoiser kesef l'poalim shali. I'm giving you more money b'shvil kach, in order you should work extra. Kamashman heimichon leimer hakesef b'shvil shanachnu hapoalim oisim avoidi yaterta. All right, it's not exactly the language of the Gemara, but I'm sure I got it right. TB10. So again, this is the whole chiddush, that the tafel agraihu, that even though you would maybe have the taina to say, well, that's why I'm paying you more money, so that you should be able to work extra hours. No. The only reason why you're paying me extra money, that we should do a vidita shapirta. Omer Reish Lakish. Back in the Gemara, so Reish Lakish says we continue to pay gimel and midbeis. Poil, when it comes to a worker, bechnisasu mishaloi, his entering back into the city at the end of the day, so that comes on his end. He's not compensated for that. However, when he goes out, in other words, when he is about to go to start work, then Mishal Baal Bayis. Then the Baal Bayis is the one who has to deal with that, says Rashi. When he starts going to work in the morning, so in that situation, the Baal Bayis has to pay for, let's say, his travel expenses. Shnemar Tizrach HaShemesh, when the sun starts shining, Yosefon, then he gathers in, Rashi says, Hachayos, the animals, which means they're starting to do work. Ve'el Mo'inoisam Yirbotzum. So Yetze Adam Lepo'aloi, at that time, a person is going out to do their work. V'labadaso Adi Arev, and he works until the evening. So I understand. What is the whole issue over here? Just see what the minhag Medina is. That's what we kept saying. So just see whether or not he's compensated for his travel expenses. We're talking about a new city where there is no such chazaka. Okay, so let's see where they come from. Why don't you just see what the custom of those people are, even if it's a new city? My answer is bin kuta'e. We're talking about like a melting pot where there's tons of people from all different locations, and therefore they all have different customs, says Rashi. They come from many places. The only way it can be saimech is on the raisa. That person just said, I will pay you just like whatever the Torah says. So therefore, on the way to work, that's part of the job. On the way after work is done, no more. That's question. Now we're up to question 1. Question 1 says, well, my nafkamina oimer Reish Lakish poil bechnisasu mishaloi baritanana kokim medina. So nafkamina is ir chadasha. And again, they're people that are come from all different places where all have different minhagim, or someone who says that I will pay my workers as is the din shel Torah. Okay, now we're gonna have a little bit of a gadata, and the Gemara continues like this: Dorish Rabbi Zera, Yermal Samsei was Tani Rabbi Yosef. My next, what does supposed to mean? Tashas Chayshach v'Hilai Laboy Tirmois Kol Chayasai Yor. So, what exactly does this mean? That at darkness there's night, and there's the roaming of all wild animals in the field. So what does that mean? So Tashas Chayshech v'Hilayla Zehoyom Hazet. This is this world. Shadaim Layla. This world's like nighttime, where things are not so clear to understand. Botirmois kochayasai yar, during the nighttime the animals roam. Il rishayim shebo shedem l'chaya shabyar. It's comparable. These rishayim, they roam around all over the place and get engaged in all forms of mischief. So, fine. Tizrach hashemesh, and then Pasuk says the sun shines. Yasefun, they're gathered. The el ma'oinaisam yirbotsun, and their inhabitants they dwell. So Tizrach hashemesh, that's l'tzadikim. Yasefun rishayim gehenim. And Hashem gathers up the wicked to Gehenna. The el ma'oinaisam yirbotsun. What does it mean that they'll inhabit their lands? Every tzaddik has his place in accordance to his honor. The Pasuk says a person go out to do his work. They go out to receive their reward. Someone who completes his work in the evening, which Rashi says ad yomoisai, that he doesn't stop. A tzaddik doesn't stop. He keeps working. There's no such thing as retirement for a tzaddik. A tzaddik continues to plug away. He recognizes the life is about growth. You don't just stop growing. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer Reb Shimon. We have an unbelievable Gemara over here. Rabbi Eliezer Reb Shimon, who is of course the son of the Rashbi, Rav Shimon Yochai, Ashkelahu Parahagna. He encountered this officer, this official to the king, the Katafis Ganavi. He was grabbing Ganavim. Apparently he somehow was able to figure out who was a Ganav and who wasn't, and this is what happened. So Elizabeth Shimon was kind of pondering this, and he said, Heichi Yechaltahu. How is it shaykh for you can even capture these guys? Lav Keche Vasa Matile? Are they not comparable? And it's like a mushal. They're compared to wild animals that are hard to catch. It's unbelievable they were able to catch them. Some say Mahai Kra Karmele. He actually quoted this pasuk: Yerav b'mistar ka'aryeh b'suchai, that they'll hide in there on concealment just like a lion in its den. So Dilma Shakla Sadiki v'Shavcha Rishi. And also, even if you do capture people, how do you know that they're really thieves? Perhaps you may be capturing tzaddikim and leaving the rishayim. Armalei umay evid. So he said, okay, so what is your way of determining whether a person is a ganav? So Harmana the Malka, so he commanded him. Armory said, Ta, go, Agmrach Heichi Tavid. Go and tell me exactly what you should do. So basically, you tell us how to be able to figure out who these guys are. So he said like this: Go and the 4th hour into various stores and restaurants, drinking taverns. You see a guy who's sitting there, which again, this is the time when people are typically eating, and he's drinking wine. He's holding onto a cup and he's dozing off. Now it must be he had a pretty difficult night before. So Shalili should find out and ask. Maybe the reason why he's fallen asleep, he's a Talmud Chacham, he got up in the middle of the night, and now after his meal he's fallen asleep because he was learning all the time. Now, if again you can determine this is Sumer Rabbanan, that's probably what he did. If he's a worker, so Kadim Ka'avid Avinte. Maybe again he woke up maybe in the middle of the night to do his work, and now he's exhausted from his work. Now, if let's say he's a craftsman, he works at night, Radude Raded. So maybe he's someone who makes needles. It says Rashi, Moiteach chute nechayshas ubars alasos mechatin ve'umnois b'layla. For whatever reason, these people would not work during the day; they worked at night. And Rashi says, "Lefi shemayshchay b'kliyim naso b'nekavim dakim." They would use these small holes for these needles. Zed dak mizeh v'zein koil nishma, and his voice could not be heard b'layla. V'fil nishma koil patish. So basically, This was something that apparently if you're a blacksmith, you can't work in the middle of the night because you're going to be making all this noise. So by making needles, so in koil nishma bolayla. So therefore, it's not a big deal. And it says, nishma kol patish bebeso bosalayla enocha toisai. Even if, let's say, he didn't hear the banging, that doesn't mean that he wasn't not working. Don't grab him. Dilma radudi radid. Because maybe he was making needles. So, again, it's possible the guy was a worker and he worked all night. So you can say, well, okay, so maybe you heard over the nighttime him making the noise. And if you didn't hear him make the noise, maybe he makes needles. The elo, but if none of these things, he doesn't work, he doesn't learn, then ganava hu. Then you should be able to grab hold of him. Because why is he tired? He doesn't do anything. Why did he sleep all night? He probably was stealing all night. And therefore that's the proof. So in itself is an unbelievable vart, is that there's no in between. Either you're being productive, doing positive good things, you're learning Torah, you're working, and if not, you're not doing anything productive, so you're going to fill up that time with negativity. Ishtama Milsa be Malchus, the king heard about this great chap of Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, he said, Karana di igarta ihu lahavi parvanka, which is an expression, the one who reads the letter, he should be the shliach to do what it says. So therefore, since you're the one who figured this out, I want you, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, to be the one who captures these thieves. Asul Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, v'katafis ganavi v'azel. So Hitaka was doing this. That became his new job. Shalach Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. So he maybe wasn't so pleased. He said, Chaimetz ben Yayin, you're like a Rasha ben Sadik. Your father is a great Sadik, Rosh Shimon bar Yochai, the Rashbi. But you're like vinegar. You turned into vinegar. What happened to you that you're doing this? An Masiyata Meiser Imo Shelo Kenel Hariga. How is it possible you're bringing these people, would it be killed? The fact that they stole, even if they did steal, but their punishment is so over the top. How could you be part of this? So Shalachli Kaitzim and Machalim and Akarim says, all I'm doing is removing thorns from the vineyard. So it's not like I'm removing great people. These are evil people that are thieves. So at Shalachli, unbelievable, they said back, okay, but Yavo Bal Hakarim v'Yachalas Kaitzro. Don't do God's job. God is the owner of the vineyard. Let him take out the thorns if he so desires. But you shouldn't do it. Yom Chad Apagabe Hahu Kaivis. He encountered a launderer, Karain, who was called Chaimetz ben Yayin. They called, this was his new name, the Chaimetz ben Yayin, the vinegar, the son of wine. If he's so brazen to speak this way about me, he must be a Rasha, which in itself also is unbelievable. We see that the language that you speak also shows who you are. If you're someone that uses profanity, you speak lashon hara, it shows who you are. It shows what you speak is who you are as a person. So Amalahu Tifsu, let me grab hold of him, get him arrested. Tafsu, they did. Labasid and Nach, after the guy was killed, Actually, after he basically calmed down, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon calmed down, he said, I'm going to go and redeem him because he's in jail. So this way, we should not read, this pasuk should not be called upon the al-hakayvis, on the launderer, that shemer piv, one who guards his mouth, lashon his tongue, shemer mitzaras nafsho, he'll be protected from the travails of his soul. But unfortunately, zakfuhu, they had already hung him, says Rashi, taluhu. So come, tute zakifa, so Elazar Shimon got up by this piece of wood, Rashi says tachas ha'etz, by the gallows where this man was hanging, v'kabachi, and he started to cry, Armalei Rabbi, al yera b'einecha, don't worry about it. Shehu uvanoi bo nar marasmi amikipor. This guy was actually indeed deserving of skila, of getting killed. And even though it's not skila, Rashi says v'chol niskolom nitloyin. After skila, then we hang the body. So haniach yedo al gab al b'nei me'av. So Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shimon put his hand on his stomach. Armer sisu b'nei me'ai sisu, that my innards should rejoice. Mas ve'ka sholachem kach. Even when I'm not sure of this person, nonetheless it was proved that my actions were just. So v'adoy sholachem alachzem kama. So when I know for sure I'm doing the right thing, then certainly I'm good. I therefore know that when I die, my body will not decompose because I'm a perfect tzaddik. But he still didn't feel totally good about it. He wanted to test, is it really true that my body will not decompose when I die? Well, I don't want to get killed, so instead he did something else. He was given a potion to drink. The shinta ve'aluhu labeis deshesha, and he went into this place which was made out of marble. Vikar lekrese, and they torn open his stomach. Havi mafkimine dikule letarba, and they took out baskets. Says Rashi, salim aleim shuman, baskets full of fat. Apparently he was, Rashi says, this is what Rashi says, he was an obese man. He was very fat. So they were able to take out all this fat out of Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shimon. And they put this fat in front of the sun, and it was the middle of the summer. B'tamuz v'av, it was the middle of, again, the hot months. V'loi misruche, and it didn't get spoiled. So in fact, the Gemara called tarban namilo lotzriach. Apparently, fats don't spoil. Rashi says elim kin yesh basari mo. You actually have to have meat together with it. So kol tarva lotzriach. You're right. All fats don't spoil. However, shuraike sumke masriach. However, if it has red streaks in it, there's actually gavanim adumim, which is part of has basar in it, then it will spoil. Hachinami. So therefore, Hachinami Afagad the Ika Shiraiki Sumki Lu Masriach. So Karyanashi, he read upon himself, Af Besari Yishkon Levetach. Also my flesh I can rest in joy and in bitachin. Why? Because it clearly showed, and this is actually question 2a or 2 aleph. Al Ez Meir Karab Elazar Shimon Al Atzmo as a pasuk Af Besari Yishkon Levetach. So it was again after they took out the fats from his body, it didn't spoil. He realized that his body will not decompose. The Rabbi Shmuel Rav Yosi Mata, also Rabbi Shmuel Rav Yosi, also encountered this potential position of basically being an informant. As we continue to pay down with Aleph, Ki Haimaisa Liyade, when this action came in front of him, says Rashi, there was Mina Hamelach Litvais Kanavna Vlistim, that he was supposed to capture again these thieves. Pagabe Eliyahu. Eliyahu encountered him, unlike Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosi, and Amalei Anmasiata Meiser Ima Shel Elkeinu Hariga. So this Eliyahu himself came to him. Amalei My Eved Haramana de Malkahu. What am I supposed to do? This is what the king asked me to do. So Amalei Avuch Arak La'asya. Your father, he ran away, and therefore At Arak to this place. At you Arak Luludkia. You should also